Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Friends in High Vibrational Places. My name is Christine Laria, and I am so happy to be back with my dear friend, cosmic teammate, colleague, personal chiropractor, all the good things, Dr. Mateo Martinez, who's joining us here to open up some magic with us, to bring in some information and insight and conversation that will hopefully be that love note from the universe for you, the piece of information that is just what you're ready for right now, whether that's that bit of upliftment or some insight into something that you hadn't seen before, or just a piece that sets you in alignment with your own path even more clearly and truly. So welcome,
Thank,
Mateo. So
thank.
glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. I know that it's been a little while since our last conversation in this context, and yeah, let's see what we can pull out for magic for the viewers, and give them some hope and some idea of something wonderful going on.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is so beautiful. We had the two of us had like almost, well, apart from the conversation that we're having in the ethers, which isn't actually audible, right? But we haven't really talked about where we were headed today. But that thing that you just mentioned is something I put into my notes about hope and having this deep awareness that people are hungry for hope right now, and they're
Oh,
hungry for that knowing of what's possible. So yeah, what comes up for you around that?
oh, I think this is such a interesting time in our history on this timeline that we are, well, everybody, especially since COVID, have been really in this panic mode about the energy they're feeling. And I think there's been such a disconnect from various things, but mainly from everyone's higher self. I think when you get in survival mode,
Hmm.
especially, it is such a disconnect to your truth and your higher self. And the economy is suffering, political stages are insane as usual. And there isn't a lot out there that people are vying for hope. And this is something I've been coming across quite a bit. There are levels of transition that we all do as humans. So one is childhood, adolescence, young adult, and then, on into our senior years. And each one of those stages for us is such a spiritual journey that we forget that. It is an exploration. It is making known unknowns all the way through your life. And one of the things as humans is we try to piece our life together on things that are for sure thing. So, for instance, the so-called American dream is graduate, find the love of your life, get educated, get a job, buy the house, have the cars, get the retirement. And I don't think that that's happening anymore. I think that for good, that dream has kind of taken a backseat to the reality that everything is uncertain. And that uncertainty then breeds into most of us a panic mode unless you're spiritually grounded, unless you're absolutely spiritually grounded in yourself, especially, and what we are. We're not just humans having one life. We are ancient beings that are incarnated into these bodies having one more experience here. And whether you're religious or not, into whatever context, it is such an important conversation to have that you are more than just this one experience. You have so much wisdom, and that wisdom goes on for eons. And to capture that and to move yourself into a place of this higher consciousness is your hope. It is your ability to look at something greater than just the status quo of an education, a job, and a relationship, kids, which are wonderful things. Don't get me wrong. But there's a reason why we have such a difficulty matriculating into this life at every stage, from childhood, adolescence, young adult to our senior years, is because we don't know really what we are. And we don't have conversations about what we really are and what we're really doing here. And so that's what I see more happening now, are these conversations that are, I think I'm more than this. I think that COVID really showed me that I can't trust the government. I can't trust these people telling me where to go and what to do. I have to go inside myself and pull that out of this ancient being, this ancient wisdom that I am. And that's where I see the most hope coming from. And then in what I do with frequencies and energy and different some of my inventions that are divinely downloaded, it is all part of that. It is all part of this time. And then of course what you're doing, harmonizing. I mean, this is all the universe kind of getting together, going, let's speak this language now of hope and love and acceptance and a real ancient wisdom that you can actually ground yourself on and move forward.
Ah, that's so beautiful. That's medicine for the soul right there. And that's really kind of what we're here talking about today. The hope is medicine, the vibrational frequencies, they're medicine. Sound is medicine. We're talking about the healing of the soul through the connection with the truth and the knowing. And so that's something that I see you do. You're okay. So what I notice in you, just as you move through the world and as you work and as you invent and as you bring through your creations, those things that you were talking about, like connection to your ancient wisdom, as well as your compass is always tuned to your true north, which is that connection with your greater self that is so beyond this being. And that peace, that disconnection that you're talking about, which leaves people without a sense of meaning, or they feel adrift, or they're bereft, or all those things. This is the great opportunity. And like you said, that's the hope, is the connection and the alignment with that which we are, which of course gets quite esoteric and intangible and all that, and yet it's so very obvious and like right here as you
Yeah,
be it and live it. And like, yeah, you live that all the time. Yes, like you follow your knowing in the flow of your day, and you follow the listening to the ancient wisdom as you bring through creations. So yeah, it's great that you're such a example of that.
I do my best with that. I'm also having a human experience like everyone else.
You think?
That, I, like every,
Yeah.
it's it but it's that's also the beautiful part about this journey is we get to have this human experience. It's not a downgrade. It's such a beautiful thing. Food is wonderful. Relationships are wonderful. Music is wonderful. The sun is wonderful. The beach is amazing. You know, being able to experience all the different things that we experience here. It is not a, like some people call this a prison world, a prison sentence.
Mhm.
I could think of worse things. I really could. It really is such a beautiful experience. But when you, like you said, your compass is pointing to your true north, you become so entrenched in gratitude. And, you know, I mean, I have blowups. Trust me. I have my drama in my life. I have things that I have to overcome. I have the times I slip down to my low vibrational levels. I absolutely do. But the difference for me at this point in my life from when I was younger and not so much in my wisdom is that I know the difference between living in gratitude and living in what I like to call depression, basically.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
that, yeah, and that is something all of us having this human experience have this commonality of, yeah, sometimes you're down. And it's, you know, I love how there's so many different teachers out there for so many different things. And the commonality in getting yourself out of depression or anxiety or hopelessness, that's a big one, hopelessness, is your ability to see yourself not just in this stuck position of one encounter or two encounters or a limitation of energy moving through your life. And I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and what came up was so beautiful. You know, they're trying to position themselves in a new way in their life, and from business to relationships to everything. And I said, you can have a new life. You can at any time. It's just going to cost you your old one.
Mhm. Yeah, right.
That is the best part.
Hmm.
It's moving through the harmonics of life and deciding where you want to be. Do you want to be here and have you, everybody, we can have that. Yep,
Hmm.
that's good. Or here, or here, or here. That's not a prison sentence. That's hope. that really is that you can move up that vibrational experience. And it's not anything more than just really how you set your own frequency, how you decide to set your frequency. That is the best part of how we are creators. And I love to tell my children, this is so important for me with them, is you have a book of all of your lives, all your different cosmic experiences. It's a book of you. And this is the chapter that you're having as Christine. This is the chapter I'm having as Mateo. I'm going to make it a damn good chapter. I'm going to make it the best chapter I possibly can. And I want it all. Give me the drama, give me the crescendos, give me the what I think are limitations that I break through. Give me all of those things. When somebody reads the story of Mateo, I want them to put it down and go, holy shit, what a great story.
Okay, and the thing that's so good, and the thing that I feel in this as you're talking about it is that there's this very simple, profound, easily to understand sort of key, and also like a lifetime of practice, which is to constantly orient, like we were saying, to the inner truth rather than the outer reflection, because that's going to be what it is. You know, it's going to go on, it's going to do the chaos, and people are going to have their opinions, and they're going to, you know, I had one of those today. Somebody just like threw a brick bat at me, like out of the blue. I was like, whoa, you know, and I sort of forget, right? I go along and I'm kind of just happily in my joy and in the light, and then somebody comes and you're like, okay. And yet it became an immediate opportunity to go, okay, what, this very thing you said, I get to set my frequency. And is it reactive, or is it grounded in what I choose? And that's that sovereignty piece. And so, yeah, the drama is going to happen, but what we do with that and what we return to, and does that become an opportunity to say, actually, this is where I really understand what matters to me. And it's not that. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is such a great time, honestly, in the history of this whole different, well, I'm just going to speak freely.
Yeah, please.
There are ages on this planet. You know, we're in the age that we are now. And it really is a coming around of us being the great people, one people that we really are. You know, there really aren't borders. Borders are man-made. You know, the fact that we all have to have passports to travel over a planet that we're born on is ridiculous. The fact that we have to pay money to live on a planet that we're born on, no other animals do this. It really is this interesting kind of dynamic that most we don't even think about. It just is a process that we go through. But what I really see happening now is such a shift. It's such a profound shift that we're waking up in so many numbers. There's so many, I get so many emails that, you know, with questions about, what do you think about this political aspect? Or what do you think about this medical aspect? Or what do you think about this economic aspect? And usually my response is, yeah, it's an option for you to look at it. It is. It's so funny. You know, I grew up here in Hawaii, and I have still friends and family that don't have internet access. They don't look at emails. They don't have social media. And it's such a wonderful reminder for me that their world is so different from everybody else's world. And it's simply just a vibrational choice. It's not that they're ignorant or they want to be ignorant. It's the fact that they're like, yeah, politics are crap. I really don't want that in my life. I'm not going to discuss that. I'm not going to look into it. It doesn't matter for me anyways. The economic realm, well, there's not much I can do because it's controlled by people who are completely insane, and money's not real anyways. You know, we exchange paper for goods. It's a really interesting concept. And then on the other side, they just want their reality to be what it is. And it's the simple things of life. That's a choice. But you see that they're happy. Their vibration is where they want. They're so happy. And that to me shows me it's not just about looking at things that you can't control and freaking out about things you control. It's your choice whether you want to understand that it's not a control thing. It is allowing. And going back to my Hawaiian roots, when you learn to surf, you can't control the ocean. That's not the point. But you can ride the wave.
Mm-hmm.
You can absolutely ride the wave. And so these trends that come and go, these flows that come and go in the world, and our news system flashes out, be aware, be in fear, be in fear. This is coming, the war with Iran, political this, the economy is this, oil is doing this. And my whole life, there's been something like that, some kind of tragic something over the news to pull you into this sense of fear. And we both know gas is still pumping at the pumps. Food still comes into the grocery stores. Political people are still going to do their thing. And those who control the economy are going to keep controlling the economy. It really doesn't have anything to do with my walk in my self-truth. But it is a distraction. It is an absolute distraction.
Yeah, and I would say it feels to me even more than a distraction. It's actually a siphoning of our life force, because when energy flows where the attention goes. And so if we say, okay, you have my full undivided attention, and it's everything that I'm giving this energy to is negative, well,
Right.
That's our choice. I mean, there's nobody in charge of our life force except us in
That's right.
this regard. So is that my choice? Do I want to just say, yeah, why here? Why don't I give you my power? I'll give you my power through your narrative of fear. I'll give you my power through your narrative of the next disaster, the next thing I have to worry about. And it works, of course, because I'm an empathic human being, and I'm concerned for other people and myself and the whole thing. And yet, if I just look at that and go, well, today I had a conversation with a woman who's a caretaker for this park at the beach, and she was talking about the spirit of aloha, and she was talking about watching people come in lately, and their shoulders are hunched and they're tense and they're kind of bracing, and she just greets them with some aloha and some friendliness, and then she watches them visibly relax, and she says to me, and I know people are getting bombed. I know they are, but this is what I can do. And I was like, amen, sister. Because if everybody were to say, this is my life force, and what I choose for my life force is a life of beauty and of love and of peace and of generosity and of compassion, and I'm going to see how can I make more of that? How can I emanate more of that? How can I be fully accountable for my own vibrational emanation in this moment? Well, then what's my choice here? And it's incredibly empowering, and it's difficult because there's this tidal wave trying to always knock you down. And yet, hey, it feels like what we're here for, yeah?
Right. But like I said, that tidal wave is there. And it's like being out in the ocean. If anyone, I hope everyone gets a chance to go to the ocean. Mm-hmm. But if the waves are coming in, you can't fight the waves. You cannot. And that's not the point. That's not the point. But you can still ride it, And it's, like you said, yes, absolutely. I'm going to say they're energetic vampires. That's what a lot of this really is. We can get into that if you want to. I mean, we can get into that. It's
just to know it's there, just to say, hey, just be aware, everybody. Just come on.
It is there. I mean, we're not going to get into it anymore, but it is absolutely there. And how it's there is that people are so quick to look at things that are negative than things that are positive. And it's a training. It's absolute training. Once you retrain, that's that gratitude, little wonderful recipe. Once you start retraining your brain to live in happiness and gratitude and looking at all the things that you actually have in your life, you don't want to go back because it's so healthy. You vibrate so healthy. And on the medical side of it, I can tell you this. Over 20 years of being a doctor, and I've seen so many different things. And the people who have the most pathology or have the most disease or have the most sickness are the ones that really are truly unhappy. And that just speaks volumes right there for it. And it doesn't matter the pathology. It doesn't matter from pain to arthritis to cancers to other things. It is such a piece of the puzzle of your health that if you can just master that little piece of you are in control of your vibrational energy, you're probably going to have a really good, healthy life for the most part. We're very robust. The bodies are very robust, but that internal voice of what your inner monologue is speaking to you on a daily basis, that is so critical. That is something that has to be taught more on such a level. And we all have it. In religion they call it your conscience. In other place they call it your God, and they call it your higher self, or your highest vibrational, the most noble part of you. And that's something that no one talks about developing. You get little tidbits here, but that is the part of you that saves you from things that actually hurt you. So for instance, we've all been in relationships where we go, yeah, this isn't it. This is not good for me. But we continue to do it because we placate to a part of us. Well, they can change, or no, it's okay. I'm going to allow this. But there's this beautiful, sweet little voice that goes, I don't think this is good for you. And we don't listen to it. And it can go into what you eat, how you're living, the job you're in. There's all these beautiful things that if we're in tune with the universe loves us, absolutely loves us, wants the best for us. And we tend to, because we're so powerful, our vibration is so powerful, that voice is so powerful, but no one teaches us how to harness that. And so most of us go around our life not listening to the best part of ourselves. We listen to a trained part of ourselves. That's our inner monologue. And that inner monologue sometimes, you gotta be careful with that thing. I mean, that can be your best friend or your worst enemy, depending on where you are. And I do notice that it is changing. I notice, I love it. I'm having more conversations with people about that part. They're like, hey, doc, this little voice. And I'm like, that's the one you should listen to. That's the one that is the best part for you. And I'm diligently teaching my boys this, that is your best friend inside of you. And that's the one you want to develop.
Oh, so beautiful. And that listening, what people find too, the more they practice it, and it is a practice. It's like anything, and we get good at what we practice, and we get good at what we put our devotion and our discipline into. It becomes second nature. It becomes stronger. All those things, whether it's like you have the beautiful practice of working out at the gym, and whether it's a meditative practice or it's your own spiritual devotion to listen deeply to the truth that's loving. It gets louder and louder and louder and louder and louder, and you don't even have to try after a while. At first you have to really pay attention because like you've just discounted it and ignored it for so long. And it's also it's never bossy the way that negativity is. It's just gently loving. And you
That's,
get
yeah,
better and better at listening to it. And then it's like, oh my God, it becomes the sweet spot of flow. And it'll be like, I've noticed lately, it's even like, and it's always changing, but it's like, I'll go to eat something and it'll be, oh no, actually. I was like, wait a minute,
right.
I love
Yeah,
these, or, this is great. Or these are always good. My body likes these, but not today, and it'll be almost instant, like where even the flavor of it doesn't taste right because the vibrational knowing and the navigation through flow
got it.
is so refined. You're just, that's like a skilled surfer, of which I'm not. I'm not a surfer at all, but it's like you're reading just moment by moment that flow, and then no wipeouts, or not as many at least.
No, this is the conversation I love to have with people. I mean, I can get into things medical, things fitness, things Hawaii, little things in the world, but these are the conversations I love to have because this is how you make the greatest impact in this world. You make the greatest impact by showing people that you are more than what you think. You are divine. You are a direct descendant of the divine, really, truly, in these magnificent bodies that give you all of this experience. And if more of us were taught that from the time we're little, our inner monologue will be so different about how we speak about ourselves. And I test my boys all the time. I go, hey, boys, what do you think about yourself today? Are you proud of yourself? And it's such a great little question. Are you proud of yourself? Well, the inner mind, if yes, I am. I'm doing great. And that's such a powerful place to be. And the universe goes, I can work with you.
Yeah.
I can do some things with
Oh,
this.
Yeah, because it's so like 100% honoring of all the signals we send out. It loves us that much that if we say, I'm shitty or not worth it or this or that, it'll be, oh, that's the program we're doing. Okay, here you go. Do, 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 do. And it just reflects it back to you 100%. It's so intrinsically honoring. Can I share a visual that I had? Because this has come
Yeah.
in twice now. It's like, just kind of looking at you, like you said, well, I can talk about Hawaii or medicine or this or that. And I saw, as you've been talking, it's like just this, it's sort of this massive funnel. It's like this big, wide cosmos of information, and it's bringing its way down and in through and out, through the things that you do and the work that you do and the conversations that you have and the inventions that you create. And it was almost like it's that kind of almost cliche thing of like, how does this huge spirit get into this little body? But it feels like, how does all of that information, okay, like we got to get it all through. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It's coming through. And of course, one of the things that you do with that is I don't know, I call it vibrational medicine because it's inventions of things that are vibrationally there to help literally do this thing that we're talking about, the same conversation, but from a different path. That's part of that big funnel of all that comes through you, is to help people actually be embodied and connected with what they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That that
yeah.
that's it. That is so well said. And whether it's through music or it's through meditation or it's through one of my inventions, it's all frequency. It's all language.
Yeah.
And that language, like we're talking about with the inner monologue, that's the beginning. That's the harmonizer inside of you. So one of my inventions of life is really an interesting one because the reason why it was created is to help people through that inner monologue process in a level that they're not even conscious of.
Mm-hmm.
It's so beautiful, and this is I've had divine help with this one, and there are so many good beings out there that want to see us flourish,
Mm.
that they understand that if you flourish, I flourish. If you are energetically higher, I'm energetically higher. It's this beautiful, wonderful cascade of all of us are the same thing, having a different, slightly different experience in it, but we're all light. We're connected, and so the divinity of that is I was chosen to bring these here for that specific purpose of changing that frequency in everyone. And it's not manipulative. It's more of somebody going, "Hey, you're worth it.
Mm-hmm.
You're very much worth it to rise. You're very much worth it to be healthy. You're very much worth it to be happy." And whether you consciously know this or not, I'm going to reach out my hand to you and pull you up a little bit for this moment so you can feel it. And once you start to feel it, you go, okay, I like that. That is really good for me. But that whole thing, and I can get into, some of the divine help I've had. That's a humbling for me.
Yeah, I think we'd love to hear about that because
Oh,
this is the thing. This is what, in a sense, it's what
okay.
those of us that have felt like, okay, I'm way out there. Maybe I talk about this and maybe I don't. It's getting very normalized. Like that's the connection with all that we are, and those those downloads from the divine planes. Those like I was totally seeing those sixth and seventh and eighth dimensional frequencies. The language that you're talking through the
Right.
yeah, and then it gets to be put into, because it's delivered frequentially for the person who experiences it. It doesn't matter if they're like, "What's the seventh dimension?" They feel better, because it's a truth and it's a communication. But yeah,
Right.
I would love for you to share about that.
Okay. Well, this is everybody out there. I want you to know that I am a trained physician. I'm educated in what the general sense of the world is. And so I have had my own deliberations over this communication and my own moments of what I thought I was insane. So I want to put that out there, generalizing, because the evolution of this for me was to show me that I am not. I am very much lucid. I am very much cognitive. I am very much in reality. From the time I was little, I've had spiritual experiences. Growing up here in Hawaii, from Pele to Merahuni to night marchers to ghosts to spirits, they were a commonality. In fact, if you talk to most people in Hawaii, they've seen ghosts or something supernatural. Okay, And that was my reality. And I grew up fine with it. I remember I had a Menehune come into my room when I was probably 10 or 12 and just looked at me. They looked like little gray aliens and kind of froze me for a minute. I broke out of it, and it's my room has this beautiful green hue, and there's a chanting like language, but it was a vibration. And I was aware of everything. And the Menehune was so shocked that I broke out of being frozen for a moment. And I was, of course, in fear because I didn't know what to do. And it just bowed at me and left, and everything was gone. I broke down in tears, and I went and told my father at the time. And my papa was like, let's have you go to a kahuna. You need to talk about this with a kahuna. Well, this particular kahuna was also a Catholic priest. His name was Father Alpaca back in those days. Really beautiful man. Father Alpaca, if you're hearing this, I love you. He
I can see him patting you on the
Yeah,
back.
so
He's like, good job.
this moment um, where I went to him, and I thought, of course, I was a little embarrassed to tell him, I mean, what is he going to actually say to me? And he looks at me and he goes, Mateo, that's a Menehune. They're just checking you out. Like, don't worry about it. They're so common. And then he goes, now I got to put my Catholic priest hat on. He goes, yeah, don't talk about that with everybody because not everybody can understand this, right? So my life kept moving always in this spiritual driven side of me. My intuition, to what you want to call psychic ability, to getting downloads. And I reached a point in my career as a doctor where I started to get celebrity patients all over the place. And one of them happened to be Jay-Z Knight, who is a channel of Ramtha. And that ended up being one of the really most wonderful pivotal points of my life, is to see someone channel a being. And everyone can say what they want, but that is the real deal. It is. I've been in it enough to know. I know Jay-Z personally as a patient before I even met Ramtha. They are not the same entity. It may be the same body. It's not the same entity. And I can go into, as her physician, doing DNA testing, to so many of my personal experiences, that it showed me, okay, this is our reality. We are having a supernatural experience every single day. Our soul tells us that. We are soul having this body experience. And so the Blue Room came out of this experience, and that was my very first invention. And it was a chamber designed to elevate your highest potential through frequency, light, and sound. And that was through Jay-Z leaving her body and having an experience with some beings before she could enter into a group of these beings. They made her go into this room that kind of brought her frequency up so she could communicate, so she could be at this level where she could communicate. Anyways, I go over to her house for lunch one day, and she was describing this whole thing to me. And she looks and she goes, do you think we can do that here? And I said, I have absolutely no idea. And she says, well, would you like to be in charge of this? And the first voice that came on inside my head was like, yes. It was a huge yes. And that was my higher self. But of course, doubt came into it. I said, I don't know, my reputation, my career, what am I going to do here? And I let it all go and built this thing. And I took it around the world. That was the first real healing chamber that there was around the world. And so then in 2018, so that was about 2013, I started that journey. In 2018, I'm in Switzerland. And I had just installed a Blue Room for a company, and I went to bed that night exhausted, and immediately I'm out of my body. Now, it's not my first out-of-body experience, but this one was very profound. And I'm on this, I can't describe it any other way, but it's a ship, but it's not like what we would consider like a spaceship. It's an organic thing. It's like a cell. It was plasma-like and fluid, but you could move in it. And I immediately noticed that I was standing in a place where I could see what we call the earth, but it doesn't look like a round globe. It is like a beautiful paradise that you can see different levels of this paradise, like vegetation to water to mountains. You could see it all. And I immediately noticed that I was in one spot, and there was this very tall, beautiful blue being holding on to me. And then I looked straight ahead, and there I am again in the midst of 9 very tall, beautiful blue beings. And immediately I go, how can I be there and here? I go, what is happening? I'm like, oh my God. And this beautiful being just patted me and said, it's okay. This is your personality right here. That is your higher self. When you learn to meld the two together, what they're talking to you about will become reality in your consciousness. And of course, I'm like, okay, what are we doing? What is happening? I already thought I went through the spiritual journey. What do you mean? I'm not out of my personality. I thought I was in my higher self already. So there's all this conversation. This beautiful blue being goes, quiet your mind, relax, don't argue against your limitation. That hit me like a ton of bricks, to have something say, why are you arguing for your limitation? I go, oh, okay, got it. Yeah, why am I arguing to be lower vibration here? Let me move up. Because I do want to know what I'm being told here. So give it some time. I had many meetings with these beings, and about the 5th or 6th one, they started to tell me that there is a chamber that I need to build. There is a healing chamber I need to build, and it's going to be dodecahedron. But the technology that they have this particular thing. We don't have that technology. So I would have to make manifest from what I understood here and try to bring it here. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of been my mission the past, years, past 5 years, is doing research on this thing, bringing it up, and for the purpose of bringing that higher self to a place for everyone that they can see it. Mm-hmm. And there is no more arguing for your limitation. It's gone. It is a resounding, for the best part of your life, a fuck yes. Excuse my language, everyone. And not enough.
Yeah. There's so many profound things here, and there's a couple I'd like to touch on. And one is, so even thank you, first of all, for sharing that, and for the courage to say, I choose all of me. I'm not only going to have my brilliant medical left-brained intellectual mind. I have that, and it's great, but I'm not going to stop there. As I listened to you, I saw that very conditioning, that bias, that, all the things is one of those mechanisms that argues in favor of our limitation. It actually is, it's so huge. Oh, well, if you're talking about things that can't be, quote, scientifically shown, or whatever that narrative is, then we're going to assassinate you, or we're going to discount you, or we're going to character slander you, or it is such a huge part of the mechanism of limiting what we are to have that thing placed on us. So it's like you went, we're not doing that anymore. I'm actually claiming all. And I know you've been living that for a long time, but also stepping out as an example to say, this has no impact in terms of negating all the brilliance that my human left brain self is, and my understanding and all that. It's the whole, and I'm saying yes to the whole. So thank you for that, because that was huge. Just absolutely huge. And then this other piece around, what I saw, because I've had a similar thing where I've argued for the limitation, and it's just like, what the hell? Why would I do that? And mine was a case where we were in the miracle field already, and I want to just open up the miracle field with you, because we know it, and we know the place where those things happen, and how easy and how immediate and how present all of that is. And I had taken an overseas trip to Tonga, and I had my 50-pound suitcase and the whole thing. And when I got there, the wheels, one of the wheels just split open, like the metal part was dragging on the cement. And I was thinking, man, this is going to be a really long trip home. And anyway, it was an island that literally housed 8 people. You could walk its perimeter in 11 minutes, not a lot of supplies. So she gets some epoxy, and we're like going to try to put this thing back together. But we had, just before I take her, the day before we're leaving to help repair my suitcase, we were sitting on the beach with a very high vibe consciousness group of friends saying, the thing about the miracle field is it's like the limitation, not only have you surpassed it, it never existed. it wasn't ever real. And then that's where the miracle field just bursts open. So we'd had that
Right.
conversation. I go to the room and she goes, okay, which wheel is it? And I'm like, well, it's this one. And I look at it and I was like, oh. And the wheel's just totally fine. And I was like, well, I thought it was that one. And so then I start looking. All the wheels are fine. We had all watched it drag broken on the cement. And now they're all fine. And so what do? I argue for the limitation. And I start going, no, it was this one. Like I'm trying to break it back open. And suddenly I went, why would I want to make broken that which is now just miraculously never been broken? And
Right.
that was, I mean, it's the same lesson. Yeah, it's the same like. And so when I listened to you telling that, like, oh, I was arguing in favor of my limitation, I was like, that is perhaps one of the single most quick ways to negate the miracle field that exists in full measure.
Oh my God, it's blocking your blessings.
Yeah.
It really just, and I have to say, I have to give Ramtha this due because I know he's listening. He said that to me years before that, in which
Mm.
on your spiritual journey, and you are so blessed. I've been so blessed to have teachers and these beings come to me and want to work with me and help me, and I'm so humbled by it and just in such gratitude. But he literally looked at me one time and he said, "Why do you push so hard?"
Mm.
Excuse me. He said, you're pushing." And I looked at him and I go, well, what do we do? And he goes, "We arrive."
I love that.
Okay. But I tell you, at the moment, I was like, "Hey, what is that?"
And how do we arrive? And what do I
Right?
need to do to arrive?
So had
Oh, I love it.
I was in Europe traveling with Jay-Z and Ramtha, and I was I was a workaholic in these days. I would go on these trips, I would do Blue Room, and I would go back to a full-time busy practice. And anyways, I'm sitting in my office and I literally have these stacks of paperwork and I'm trying to get through everything. And I'm like, I want to be home by 9 at least at the latest, and going. And all of a sudden his words came into my head. He goes, why are you pushing so hard? And I stopped for a minute and I said, I am pushing up against something that has no end. Work has no end. Like this idea that we have of work has no end. And I got what he meant about arriving. When I arrive at the conclusion that this is not work, this is my purpose, this is my destiny, this is my mission, this is my joy, this is my honor and gratitude in that, I don't have to push anymore. And those limitations are really out of the way. I am in such gratitude for where I am in my life. I am in such peace about my mission that those old patterns of my vibration of like with the wheel, you're like, oh my God, it's fixed. Instead of being like, oh, hell yeah, of course.
Right. You're like,
Yeah,
that was easy.
that happened to me. I am worth this. Absolutely. We have to go, no, this should be broken. Hold on a minute. It,
It's so
it
funny.
it's so funny. And we
It is.
because because I can tell you high vibrational beings, they get a lot of comedy out of us. They really,
Oh, yes.
it's great. My conversations with a lot of those blue beings, they're just kind of like, we don't understand this concept of money. Can you explain it to us? So
Mhm.
I say, well, we have a currency, and the currency is this, and that is worth this. And so they go, okay, so this gold piece is worth 10 chickens. And I go, well, I mean, give or take some chickens. You could put, they go, oh, okay, but you can't just go and have the chickens.
Hmm.
And I'm literally stumped, going, yeah, I guess you absolutely could have, and that's very, very low level conversation. We've had so many more conversations, but it's you're thinking of, I have to do this in order to earn this.
Yeah.
And if my vibration is not at a place where I feel worthy of this, I can't have it. And that is such a destructive mechanism for all of us in our joy. And that's something that these beings have really helped me to put into this life machine, is that it keeps you out of that. It keeps you
Oh,
away from
yeah.
that specific
Mm.
vibration. So
It's
that,
literally incompatible. It's like
yeah,
it can't exist. Like the vibrations of the life vessel, um, they make a field such that that other can't exist. That I totally get that. Yeah, that's
right.
beautiful.
That's really, it's that beautifully simplistic, and it's such a freedom. It's such a freedom. So I'm going to
Mm.
challenge the next time I see you. So is that wheel still fixed? Absolutely.
Yeah, actually, I confess I did eventually get rid of that suitcase because it only had two wheels and I wanted four that could spin around. But I
Right.
passed it on to the Goodwill in perfectly spinning condition. Yeah, it stayed 100% whole because that's its nature. That's when I got to go. Oh, that's its nature. It's so beautiful, too, that whole thing of, I feel like this conversation we're having, it's so much about remembrance of truth because we never have been broken. We never have been unworthy. We never have been apart from what we are. And yet that is the grand experiment in this planet
Right.
where we have this experience of separation. And so
Yeah.
that great remembering is like coming back to, oh, it was never broken in the first place. Oh, it's not like, oh, I fixed it. No, you were never broken in the first place.
That, that's so beautifully said, and that is the truth. That is
It is the
such.
truth.
And going back to recapping on that inner monologue that we have, and none of us are aware enough, I'm including myself, of how powerful that inner monologue is. And the love that you place on yourself and the worthiness that you place on yourself is a direct link to your experience here in this reality. And if you are in love with life, you're in love with yourself, you are in love with having such a high vibrational experience, your inner monologue will say things like, "You're amazing.
Mhm,
You're worth it.
mhm.
You are so good. You're so intelligent. You're so," and it's not a lie. It is the truth. And everybody has something beautiful to offer here, or you wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Everyone has something beautiful to contribute to the whole, and there isn't something better or worse. It just is what it is. And to be in love with that gift that you bring is everything. And I want everyone to be able to experience that the light of who they are is so necessary. I want to see it. Let's bring that. Thank
I love it. Yeah, thank you for that. Oh,
you.
that feels so beautiful. Mm. All right,
Good
my
stuff.
friend. That
Yeah,
was awesome.
it was. I know every time it's really good. Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It's well, and again, that's that synergy, isn't it? Just
yeah.
of being what you are, and seeing how life wants to live you and what wants to come through. And so,
I
thank you for
love that.
showing up and sharing that with me today. I am most grateful, as I'm sure I can feel it already. How many people will be able to receive this and just be encouraged and really nourished. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
aloha.
you. Aloha.